Okay, so welcome to the first ever podcast of the White Shark Interest Group. My name is Ricardo Lacombe. I'm one of the admins on the group. We are currently Facebook's largest White Shark specific group. And on this first podcast today that we have fellow admin Javier Rios and our founder, Dirk Schmidt. You want to say hi, guys?
Hey. Hi, guys.
Hello there.
So, Dirk, you founded the White Shark Interest Group. For anyone who's not a member of the group already, because this is going out to them, do you just want to explain a little bit about how this whole thing got started and where this came from?
Yeah, I started this way back, I think it was in 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. And the idea of actually, when Facebook started first coming up, to actually start a White Shark specific group. There's a lot of shark groups, shark photography sites out there and general shark sites, but nothing really that was really much more White Shark focused. So initially, I started two groups, the White Shark Interest Group and the White Shark Advocacy, the advocacy being more for the hardcore White Shark enthusiast, and the White Shark Interest Group being for more general White Shark information about conservation, education, obviously. The purpose was really to reach as many people as possible with factual information and thereby increasing the knowledge base and understanding. And with that, I hope to gain greater protection and conservation for all shark species, actually, because I always believe that the white shark being as maligned as it was with Jaws, and the Jaws movies, and everybody was fearful of the great white. If you can change your perception about something that has been so maligned out by the media in a way, if you can change your perception about a white shark, you can change your perception about sharks in general, and why sharks are so critical, important for our oceans.
Yeah, I noticed at the moment Discovery are running some of their Shark Week episodes again, and I know that is one way that a lot of people get interested in sharks in the first place. They see the Shark Week, but again, it's all very much less maybe about the teeth now than it used to be, but certainly it's still all the drama and the hyped up music and the sensationalism. Javier, I just wondered what was your kind of route into sort of like white shark advocacy and then getting involved with the group?
Like most of us shark lovers in general, since I was little, like Jaws, again, one of those hooks that gets most of the people into sharks. If you talk to any people in the group and you ask a general question, you go, "Why do you like shark?" "Oh, Jaws." As much as that movie put such a bad rap into sharks, it also kind of like, if you look at it, it made a lot of people really get interested in finding out, is this for real? I know it's a movie, and then you started getting all these different, of course, like getting into Facebook and finding groups that I was interested. I'm an animal lover in general. I would always love sharks since I was 8 years old. But I really didn't know much about them because you didn't have the access to internet or computer information. So the only way you could find out was through the encyclopedia, which you had to go to the library, or unless you had like the whole Encyclopedia Britannica collection that you could find some information about sharks, and in magazines in the bookstore and things like that. But it was very hard to find information. So thanks to the internet, you started finding out that you could find information at the click of a button. You go into Facebook, you find all these different groups, which I didn't really care much about social media when everything started with MySpace and all that. So it was more like to find friends, kind of like old friends. And that's how I got into Facebook, to find old friends from Puerto Rico, from other countries that I knew. And then I discovered that you could go into different groups for different interests. And I found wolf and bats and stuff that I love. And then I found the sharks. I go, wow, great. And this is one of the first ones that I kind of like draw me to. And I was like, well, let me join in. And at that time, wow, there could be a witness to that. It was like a different kind of group back then.
What was it like, Dirk? I mean, when you first set this up, I mean, the numbers now are huge. It's probably a different ball game, and we've got 6, 7 admins on there. But what was it like in those early days?
Yeah, it was the big unknown. I mean, social media was nowhere near what it was today. Back then, I mean, if I got excited, I had 1,000 members. I was like, blown away by the first 1,000 people that were actually shown an interest in white sharks. So, and that's really grew from there on. And Shark Week has obviously helped tremendously in terms of people becoming more and more interested in, and the following of these Shark Week programs is obviously pretty huge. But again, in the same sense, in my opinion, a lot of the Shark Week programs weren't focusing on the actual white shark itself. They were more about the teeth and the blood and the gore and the how what a monster it is, and it lurks around and it stalks people. And thankfully I've seen this actually change quite a lot over the last couple of years, and the shows are becoming much more in touch with what the white shark really is. It's a very selective and highly evolved predator. I'm really delighted that more and more people obviously are white shark interested, and actually the white shark as being an icon in the shark world in a way. It's one of the top sharks that we have, and we're very, very fortunate to have them in our ocean.
It is interesting though, because Javi was saying about like Jaws, was an interest, and I think that pretty much goes for like 99% of the people in the group. I noticed recently, because today I saw that the actress Lifechanging, who played Mrs. Kittner, she's passed away sadly.
Yeah, from coronavirus.
Did she really?
Yeah, she's passed away from coronavirus complications sadly.
Yeah.
So she was doing I don't know if you ever saw this, but she used to do anybody who was sort of visiting sort of Martha's Vineyard where they shot the film. Obviously, fans of the film would go out, and she would actually slap them across the face like she did to Brody in the film. She used to do. She stopped doing it a few years ago because she said, "I'm not doing this anymore." But she was getting older, but like that was her thing, because like Jaws fans would still be going out there like decades after. And I do find it, when I got involved with this group and white shark interest particularly, the sort of irony that it took something like Jaws, which had such a negative effect on white shark perceptions, that it actually has taken that for so many people now to become white shark advocates because of that movie.
Yeah.
I do see a real irony in that, but it does seem to be the case.
Well, yeah, I agree with that 100%. And even O-Search, which I love to discuss O-Search, right? Well, if you think about it, I could say one thing that's positive about that group and tell Chris Fisher in his face and anybody, you made more people interested in sharks by that website, by the tracker, whatever it takes. If you put a positive spin on an animal that is so misunderstood, I don't care how you do it, who does it. It could be the devil himself, just put the positive spin out there so people could do the research. Now that there's the access to do the research and to look for information, even though a lot of people are lazy enough to do it, but at least there's no excuse that you cannot find information about a shark.
I've never heard anybody say anything positive about that group, but so for you, just the fact that it actually brings white shark awareness to the fore, you think that is a positive to take from it?
I have to, because in I would be a hypocrite and I would be just going against facts. And I'm very pro facts, pro science, and I'm not gonna let my personal subjective feeling, get on the way of the real stuff that you see. Yeah, I don't like the way things are done sometimes. As long as you put a positive spin on something that is so misunderstood and that is still misunderstood, no matter how many people love it now, you know what? I'm gonna take my hat off a little bit. I'm not gonna take it completely. I'm just gonna lift it a little from my head.
Steady.
Very steady. I'm not gonna push it either to kiss nobody's butt. Don't tell you that much. But I have to be fair. I have to be honest with myself. I don't know if Dirk feels the same way.
Well, I was going to say, Dirk. I mean, because again, I know we don't want to get into the whole O-Search topic right now, because I think that's a whole show in itself. But that idea that I know you're very pro, that once you've actually got people to say the group, to the White Shark Interest Group, to look at the pictures, look at the images, if that's what your attraction is, that then you've got a captive audience. Do you still find that's the case?
Look, images obviously always attractive to people, and especially the trends. If you don't have a picture on your post, it doesn't really garner much interest. So with images, yeah, I mean, they obviously drive a certain amount of interest. But having said that, is really more the topic of discussion that we really encourage on the group as well. Is that the more interest we can generate, the more discussion the more people we can get into the discussion, and even people that feel like ask silly questions over and over again. There's no silly questions, because it's just they are educating themselves, and I really welcome everybody who poses questions out there and wants to be informed. And sometimes as an admin, you read these same questions from hundreds of people, but there's obviously a need for to answer those. And so hence we've got a great team of admins, of which both of you are obviously myself part of. And I'm really grateful that we can reach out and answer those questions and moderate and mediate the group in a way that we can generate good discussion, good robust discussions.
And
I think we still do that. I mean, Javier, it's a very good point you pointed out there, that once you've got somebody on a group like this, the kind of, like you said, there's no excuse for doing your homework and being able to go and dig deeper. But it still does surprise me how many people do join a group like the White Shark Interest Group, who clearly have come in through, say, watching Shark Week or seeing photography, and they answer the question when joining, why do you want to join this group? And it's like, because I want to see more pictures, I want to see more videos. But how many people still who have such a strong interest in white sharks who still don't know some of those basics about cage diving, about like O-search and fishing, shore fishing and so on. I still do find it surprising that so many people just come in at that kind of surface level, and it does become quite a job to get that education out there.
That's all we could do. It's our responsibility, I believe, to make sure that at least we don't let people get away with misinformation. And if we don't know it, I don't get involved. When I don't know something, I'm going to be the first one looking for the information or looking for somebody that knows more than I do. There's so many that I've learned so much just being in this group, because I thought I knew about sharks when I joined this group. And I learned so much. And Dirk could allude to this, that there were so many discussions. And if you think heated discussions go now, ask Dirk about when it used to be with all the scientists and all the people that joined back then. But they used to get at each other's throat, because there's so much. I always told this to you, Ricardo, and there's the eagles in shark, in the subject of shark, is so big that some people don't know how to channel it the right way, and people take a lot of things very personal sometimes, and unfortunately that's sad, because there's so many people, good people back then, that used to we had to have such a great discussions, and I learned so much from those people that were in the group at that time, because there weren't that many people, and it was only the same people discussing subjects that mattered and that were important. And of course, I love the pictures, I love the stuff that comes up now, but there's so many people, 40,000 people, over 40,000 people. It's impossible that you're gonna get the same amount of little subjects of really, really important stuff. You're gonna get some in there, but sometimes they get buried by the pictures and by the continuation of the same articles, which some of them are fine. But that's why we're here. As administrators, we have to control that as much as possible, because if not, some of the stuff get buried sometimes that I find. I go, oh man, I can't believe we didn't discuss this. And I try to bump it to the top, but again, it gets buried right away.
Oh, it's things are buried within seconds. How do you think the sort of content of a group like this one, compared to, say, other shark groups, has varied since you set this up and over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think what we try to do is just keep it focused on white sharks and shark specific. We also then created the sister group, the Shark Shack, which also helped move a lot of the non kind of directly white shark related matter into a more sociable group. And people tattoos and slippers and shark pajamas, and all those kind of the fluffy stuff that we call. That's now moved into the Shark Shack. So
that's getting way better. That's getting really better.
Yeah, and I think that really of the group as well, because that allowed people still to show off the fluffy stuff, but stay focused on our groups with regard to actually learning about sharks and interacting with people and on the page, asking questions, debating, and so forth. So I think really that's really changed as we moved along. And before that, I mean, we had a battle to try and keep those things off, because sometimes we had some really important or some really interesting facts about white shark or white shark behavior, and it got buried by the post, running down the wall and with people's tattoos and slippers and all that kind of stuff. And so we always had to try and bump them up again, or try and delete try and delete content which wasn't very, very popular, by switching them or pushing them to a group that has that facility to be to post that kind of stuff. I believe has really helped make this a much more quality group in terms of knowledge and much more specific about white shark behavior and white sharks in general. And just generally more about sharks as such. I mean, we also have stuff about maker sharks and blue sharks and hammerheads, conservation issues. But again, I would say 90% of the content is all about about white sharks in general.
Well, I think the white shark still is the one that captures most people's attention, isn't it? It still captures people's imaginations, probably, like you were saying, because it's still like the Rolls Royce of sharks, if you like. It's like the biggest, the baddest, is some people will see it, and if that's your lead in, then okay. But like you say, once they're there, then let's maybe educate a little on that.
I mean, I consider the white shark as being an iconic shark species, and sure, the movies like Jaws and so forth have obviously helped in terms of maligning the species, but in the same sense, it has really brought it out to everybody that you talk to knows about either Jaws or white sharks. That I know about the lesser sharks, like a dog shark or a cat shark or a pajama shark. They don't know about those species, and it's always interesting to see people actually understanding more and more, and the interest in sharks growing, and knowing that they are not out there just to always eat you. That has really sparked a lot of general interest, and that general interest again leads, in my opinion, to more conservation topics where people understand the need for sharks in our oceans and why shark finning is bad, and why shark finning is such a huge detriment to the biodiversity of our oceans. So that's really where we want to focus on. Obviously, is driving conservation, educating people, and I believe the white shark is a iconic species to drive that message. It's like an ambassador of sharks, if I can call it that, an ambassador for all sharks. That, again, as I said before, if you can understand and love the white shark, you can love all sharks.
If it wasn't for the white shark, in my opinion, because of the popularity of the white shark, negative or positive, it wouldn't have opened the door to other species. Nature is beautiful. The way that it created that kind of species and evolved to the millions of years and years and to what it looks now. And you see that if it wasn't for that shark, then maybe other people would have been, hey, wait a minute, let's see what other shark. Oh, great white. Oh, but what's the other shark that I see? Oh, I heard about this bull shark thing, or I heard about this tiger shark, and then you start seeing documentaries again. Back in the day, unless you watch Mutual of Omaha or Jacques Cousteau or things like that, that's the only way you were able to look at a shark. If anything, if they were talking sharks that day, because again, I only had a TV in my house, so it was whatever my parents were watching, I could watch. So whenever I had a chance to watch Jacques Cousteau for 10 minutes, I would jump on that TV, black and white. I didn't care. I would just wanted to see the ocean. I wanted to see Jacques Cousteau, one of my heroes. And you just kind of like realize that there's so much more out there than just the great white. But it was just and that's why I thank that shark. It got me involved to love sharks. So I think for a lot of people, it did the same thing. I could probably be pretty sure that that's how it happened for most of the people. Because unless you live by the ocean that you saw the species and you get familiar with them because you were always diving and stuff like that, the regular Joe that lives in the middle of the country, that there's no water, that doesn't go to the ocean, the only way you're going to learn is by television or by reading some article about a different species. So a great white, again, is an ambassador to every shark.
Being a white shark specific group, it does get people in for that very reason. They've seen white sharks on TV. Like you said, they don't live near the ocean, they don't know the reality of it, and it kind of gets them in. It's interesting that over obviously in False Bay in South Africa at the moment, there was the whole issue still of the lack of white sharks.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you've got the tour operators out there who would normally go out and see white sharks, and they're just not there. But they've got an absolute abundance of other sharks, like cow sharks, and that is actually still capturing people's imaginations. I mean, you can on one hand think you've booked a trip, it's one of those bucket list items for people. I want to go out, I want to go cage diving, see white sharks, and there aren't any. For whatever the reasons, I mean, it could be the orcas, could be the water quality, could be the fishing. Again, I think that's a whole other topic. But people are still going out on those trips to Seal Island in False Bay and seeing cow sharks and still coming away with a real sense of, a sort of passion and inspiration to go and learn more about sharks, even though they didn't get to see what they wanted to see, which is the great white shark, And I think we do still get that on the group as well. I think other posts when people say this is not about white shark, this is about hammerheads, this is about makos. It's like that still gets people fired up. Rays, sharks and rays, I still think the whole breadth of the whole species still gets people excited.
Yeah.
And the chimeras and the ghost sharks and all that, even those are becoming a little more famous now too, because Shark Week, those really nobody really had an idea that those kind of sharks existed unless you are a shark person or you are reading these things daily. But a normal person like me, I mean, I already knew about them because of the group and all the things, but like me coming into sharks, just not being in the business or like in the film business like you guys are, or photography and things like that, or scientists, there's no way somebody's gonna know where a camera is or what a ghost shark, one of those with green eyes that from the bottom. I mean, that those sharks. I mean, I'm happy that those sharks are getting the recognition too. Even the smallest ecosystem, there's always going to be a top predator there, and most likely, more than not, it's going to be the shark.
Well, interesting on the topic of being top predators. We obviously, being shark fans, feel that the white shark's obviously the apex predator in the ocean. But lately, we've obviously seen the interaction of those two orcas predating on specifically on white sharks and cow sharks, showing that in fact the white shark is not the absolute top predators. The orca is obviously still out there. That really is obviously the true top predator because it feeds on white shark. And that again has been a very interesting pivot that we've been able to explain in our group as well, is how these natural predation on white sharks is a genuine threat to the population of white shark, because they're not exactly they don't breed very often. They have long periods in between gestation and giving birth, and the whole life cycle of a top predator is obviously tuned in terms of limiting the number of top predators, because they are on the top of the pyramid. And when they get devastated by something like orcas, by natural predators, and we're not talking about predation now by humans, by fishing or angling, is the fact that the orcas can have quite a devastating effect on resident populations, like it seems to have in South Africa.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, that one, and I know views on it differ greatly, but I think a lot of people were not aware that orcas can take out white sharks, which they absolutely do, but also just the is that the sole reason two orcas patrolling around the sort of Cape Coast, is that really enough to sort of send the white shark population away? And I've always found it really interesting, again, that one of the things that maybe people who've not seen white sharks up close, or just all they've ever seen is like the Discovery Channel sort of aspect, is that they're very cautious creatures, as you'll know, yep. Dirk, as well, and Javier, you've seen this many times. They're very cautious. You can be in a cage with a white shark, the smallest sound might interest a shark, or a shiny camera to bring it to you and be interested. But likewise, the smallest thing can send a white shark swimming away at speed because something spooked it. They're very, very, very cautious creatures.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
People are beginning to realize more and more that they're not just a fish without any kind of a plan. Like, obviously it's by evolution and obviously by instinct that they do these things, but you cannot say that a shark is not smart. Now you begin to realize by scientists that, and by observation alone, by anybody, by even me, I couldn't see a shark looking at you, and I don't know if they're thinking, whatever they're doing, whatever they go through in their brain, but they're definitely analyzing the situation. That's why you say any little click they hear, maybe one shark is gonna be, I'm gonna go check that out, or it's gonna be like not interested at all, go the other way. But I think there's a little more understanding that they're smarter than people giving credit for. And I'm glad to see that as well, because that makes them more valuable, in my opinion, and for people to take care of them. Because if they just see them as a fish that you get to eat, which many people do eat for sharks anyway, that's another story again, another subject. You could have a discussion about this for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours about how smart a shark could be or not. But I think, in my opinion, is that they're smarter than people giving credit for, and that's why they analyze things, and that's why they're not just bumping into things just for the hell of it every time.
This is true. I mean, that analysis. I mean, Dirk, you told a good story. Shameless plug for my film, Great White Shark Legend, that Dirk was part of. Available on Amazon, by the way.
Well deserved.
But Dirk, you told an interesting story, because as well as the fact that the smallest thing can spook a white shark and make them really cautious to swim off, is the fact that once you hit the water, I've seen people fall off a boat trying to reach for a packet of cigarettes in False Bay, where there could be 40, 50 sharks around you. They're not waiting to pounce on you. And you told that, they'll circle you for, but you did tell that great story, which if you wouldn't mind sharing it now, about when you were on a safety stop diving when a white shark was around you.
Yeah, that was way back when Jaws movies were like the prevalent, and we just watch movies, and I think I'd seen the Jaws movie maybe a month or 2 months before that. So we were on a safety stop coming up from a dive, and just two of us at about a 5-meter safety stop, hanging around, enjoying the nice visibility. And when we saw this just shape come up from below, and it I thought first, like, hey, this looks like a smaller shark, because the visibility was so good, and I'd never seen a white shark before. And she is a female white shark, came up to us and cruised around us, and took like an orbiting position around us, and we thought we were done. We thought we were, this was it, and we showed each other like, this is it. Even the dive master on top of the boat could see the shark circling us, and he was calling in for medics and stuff like that. It says there's going to be a shark attack in progress. There's a great white circling two divers. So the whole perception back then was, if you see a white shark, or you're in the water with a white shark without a cage, means instant death and certain death, and you're just going to be, it's going to be bloody, and if you're lucky, one guy's going to survive. And the opposite really happened. I mean, she circled us about 3-4 times, and then just with a flick of a tail, she came towards us. But it wasn't like a really directly towards us, more like a oblique angle. But we thought she was coming directly for us. So we, what else could we do? Young and gung ho, and full of testosterone. So we kind of swam towards her, and then that was obviously the right behavior that we didn't know, then, but it was more instinctive in terms of, and we had our little knives out, and we were probably, greater chance of injuring ourselves than the shark. She flicked in, and then she just glanced sideways, and she was literally, I would say, within 1.5 meters. Her pectoral fin, I could have touched that, and she just swam by, and I could see her eye literally move in the eye socket and looking us literally up and down, as though we were like these weird creatures in the water. And from that instant, really, I realized that there's more behind the shark than you realize, because especially if you look at in the eyes of sharks, a lot of them have very standard pupils. It's a standard kind of nondescript eye in a way, but a great white has a very dark blue denim colored eye. It's not a black eye that many people believe. And inside you can see the iris, and actually it looks more like a prehistoric creature that's actually looking at you, and it's kind of like a little bit spooky in a way, because it actually looks like there's something looking at you directly. You can see his eyeball moving. As she swam by, she kind of just took a pose around us a few more times, and then just literally disappeared. And it just left me with this absolute amount of awe. Then sure, you're high on adrenaline, and it was like, wow, we survived a shark attack in those cases, we called it. But it wasn't. It was just a swim by, and all she did really, she came up and checked us out. She was curious. She could sense us, she could feel us, she could probably see us from below as well. And she came up to check us out, and really that was all. And that really, from that day onwards, it really changed my entire perception of sharks, and also how it made me realize that our behavior in terms of how we behave in the water, that really made a big difference as well. Because obviously the way we reacted, instead of swimming away, we actually swam towards her, which also, I believe, changed her behavior. And it was just one of those magical moments that, are like, if you have a life-changing moment, then this was one of them, especially for me.
You two guys with knives out, swimming towards them. It's that old adage. If that shark wanted you,
geez.
that shark would have had you.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say I saw this. So I remember because when I first ever went cage diving, and I was absolutely terrified of the water, terrified of open water, more than sharks. Just the idea of being out in that vast open water was the thing that scared me. And within, a couple of hours on a boat and seeing white sharks up close, I genuinely got to a point within a couple of hours that, as Rob Lawrence said to me, if you fall in that water, they're not there just waiting to pounce on you. And I whilst if I landed in the water somewhere like, in Guadalupe or False Bay, I'd like to get back on the boat as quickly as possible.
Sure.
But it's like you say, the behaviour and how you do that and how you handle yourself, because they're not there just waiting to pounce on you, it would be absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were in the water with a white shark, people think you are just going to get eaten, and it's just absolutely not the case at all.
Yeah.
And that's just to me, some things are just common sense, right? Sometimes it's just about the numbers. Sometimes it's just simple math, which I suck at math. But one thing I could know for sure is that there's a lot of people in the water at any given time around the whole freaking world. That's a fact. And the sharks are not going away just because people are in the water, or the sharks are not just going to hide in a cave or under the sand because there's people in the water. They live there. They're always there. I say that a lot in the group when people say, "Oh, there's a shark swimming from the Atlantic to the Gulf." They're always been there. That's been changed. Just because you see them more now, or because there's more social media and more equipment, more technology, you see them and people are looking for them even more, you're going to see them more. No, they've always been there. They shouldn't be top news for anybody. Yeah, I'm glad that there's a shark swimming by and that he's healthy and he's not dead. If you're going to see, if sharks really wanted us, then the numbers would be, and I don't want to bring it up because it's very happening right now with the coronavirus, the numbers would be similar to what's going on with people dying and dying. Because come on, if you really think about predators like that, then to me that's why you have to use logic sometimes and not be so caught up in the whole 3 people die in Australia, 1 people die in Reunion Island, 20 people get bit in Florida pretty much every day during the summer, and but nobody makes a big hustle about it. It depends where you live, depends what kind of shark it is, and unfortunately that's the nature of the beast. So it's not like we can't fight that 100% because there's going to be people that need to be educated. There's some people that refuse to be educated. And there's some people that just go by what they hear in a news, in a clickbait news, and they go with that, and they don't care about what anybody else has to say.
But what's that line in Jaws when the guy says to Brody, says you yell barracuda, everybody says, huh, what? But if you yell shark, you got a panic on your hands.
Yeah,
that's still the case. It's like, if you say 3 people died in a boating accident, in Florida, it's very sad.
Yeah.
But if you say 3 people died in a shark attack, that'd be the news. That will be everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
I mean, the summer here, the shark attacks throughout the whole coast, or especially in the near Smyrna Beach area, is ridiculous how many bites. But that's why it's the bite capital of the world. It's not Australia, it's not Africa, it's not California, it's Florida. And but people say, oh, there's small sharks only. Well, there's also bull sharks here. There's tiger shark. There's big hammerhead. So that they could also cause damage if they want to, and they do, and they have. So my point is that you got to put things in perspective and just take it easy. Give me an option of the ocean and a shark, and a lake and an alligator. Give me the shark and the ocean any day. And I'm telling you, people say that alligators are not as bad as people, but you know what? Give me the shark.
Sure, yeah.
But I'd rather take the chance with the shark than the alligator or the crocodile, or whatever you want to call it.
Or a cow, or a vending machine. That's what we hear about.
But you're quite right. I mean, internationally, I think there's more people dying from cows being killed or gored by a cow than by sharks. Yet we don't see cows as being dangerous. We respect them because they're obviously powerful animals. But in the same sense, you don't really walk past a pasture or there's a couple of cows, and then you think like, oh dear, I'm going to be killed by a cow. But your odds are that you're probably much more danger crossing a pasture with a bunch of cows on them that you are basically, going for a swim.
That's a hard thing to get across to people, though, isn't it? Who've maybe
So
not
hard.
had any of those experiences. So, I mean, there's a good thing, because, like, do you think it's possible with social media, with groups like ours on the White Shark Interest Group? Do you think it is possible to get those kind of messages across?
Maybe do a group about cows. Maybe that would start educating people.
We'll do a cow interest group, yeah?
Yeah. Because it seems that that's the only way people really react to things, is by creating a group.
Yeah, actually a good topic might be a cow attack group. We kind of like, monitor how many.
You want to write the book?
How many people are attacked by cows, and then we relate it to how many people are attacked by sharks.
Okay, but yeah, Dirk, do you want to go out and photograph cows in fields for a while for a book?
Not particularly.
Kind of boring, but hey.
Okay, well, that's about all we've got time for on this first episode of the White Shark Interest Group podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not already in the group, please head over to Facebook. Just search the White Shark Interest Group on Facebook and click a join, and we'll add you there to the membership. And you can also check us out. We have our Instagram, which is @whiteshark_interest group, and you can check us out on YouTube. Search the White Shark Interest Group on YouTube, and we have a website, which is thewhitesharkinterestgroup.com. So again, guys, thanks so much for listening. Thanks to Javier and Dirk for being on today's podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.